Okay, this meeting of the St. Charles Planning Commission is called to order at 7:03 p.m. Roll call. Peter Vergulich, Laurel Mode, Gina Lawson.
Here.
Jeffrey Funk, here. Colleen Visa. Zachary Ebold.
Here.
Dave Rosenberg.
Here.
Gary Gruber.
Here.
And John Fitzgerald. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Item number 4, presentation of the minutes, June 4th, 2024 meeting of the Plan Commission. Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion. Item number 5, Compact Industries Incorporated. Item number 5 is a land bank parking request for Compact Industries located at 420 South 37th Avenue, submitted to PA. Public hearing is not required of this item. And we will begin with a summary.
Yes, so this is a land bank parking request for the M2 Limited Manufacturing District. In the M2, the code does allow for land banking of up to 25% of the spaces, of the required parking spaces. This property is looking to build an addition, which in total would require 76 spaces. They're proposing 58 of those spaces, and the remaining 18 would be identified as land bank parking.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the Planning Commission?
No.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to, approve the Compact Industries request for land banking and parking request.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to approve item number 5 is the land bank parking request for Compacted Industries located at 420 South 37th Avenue. So we have a motion and a second. Okay, we'll do, so a motion has been made and seconded to recommend. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Okay, then we're going to do a roll call vote. Gina Lawson.
Group.
Jeffrey Funk, yes. Colleen, Zachary Ebold.
Yes.
Dave Rosenberg.
Yes.
And Gary Gruber.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. This concludes item number 5.
Hello. Shodine is developing Prairie Center residential and mixed-use development of the former St. Charles Mall property on Route 38. As you know, the project is under construction, and as the project is developed, they have been re-subdividing the property to create individual parcels for the building. And this was anticipated under the PUD approval. So this is the 4th re-subdivision in the area shown within the red outline. There is a lot being created for residential building B1, which is now going to be connected to what's shown on your screen as mixed-use B1. Those will be connected as a J-shaped building with only residential use, and then there will also be a park site to be dedicated to the park district and detention.
Great, thank you.
And the applicant is here, Dave Patzel, if you would like to hear from him.
Do we have any questions or comments from the planning commission?
No, I think this is pretty straightforward.
Yep, I agree.
Concur.
Okay, is there a motion?
Sure. Motion to approve the Prairie Center re-subdivision number 4, Shodine Construction Company, the application for minor subdivision final plan.
All right, do we have a
Second the motion?
second?
Second.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded to recommend. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Here we have a roll call vote. Gina Lawson,
Yes.
Jeffrey Funk, yes. Zachary Ewell,
Yes.
Dave Rosenberg,
Yes.
and Gary Gruber.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Item number 7, Chipotle, 3790 East Main Street. Item number 7 is an application for PUD, preliminary plan and minor subdivision, final plat for Chipotle in the Charlestown Mall, PUD, submitted by SC Out Parcels 1 LLC. A public hearing is not required for this item, and then we will begin with a summary from the staff.
Yes, so this is a PUD preliminary plan and a minor subdivision, so they do plan to split the lot into 2 parcels. They're planning to construct a single-story brick building for a Chipotle with a drive-through pickup lane, and the applicant is here to walk through their project.
Hi, my name is Kristen Bruns. I am with Jacob and Hefner Associates. We are the civil engineer on the project. Here with me today are some representatives from Chipotle as well as the Kraus companies. They are the land owner and the landscape architect as well. So on the screen right now is the proposed site plan. It is a building with drive-through. The drive-through is for online pickup orders only. And then the associated parking, detention is already provided on site, and we're planning to utilize the existing detention. And then we're available for any other questions that you may have.
You got any questions from the planning commission?
The online process for the drive-through, is that a new footprint concept for Chipotle, or is that an existing one that they use all the time for online orders only?
Hi.
Hi.
And I'm the team director for this area. So we call it Chipotle. It is an existing concept. So we've been doing that for several years now. It's highly successful, and it is pickup only. So there is no window to actually place your orders, and it's just to come in, state your name, get your orders.
That's great. I probably should know that with all of my kids going there on a regular basis. Thank you, Beth.
So I noticed, with the site plan, you have what kind of looks like a partial bailout lane, so where there's the double lane going around. With the handicap spots right there, I mean, do you foresee any conflict possibilities? You know, if people pick up catering, items and back up, let's say there's a issue with the online orders, people are kind of backing up. I don't see that often, but I'm just curious if you see that as an issue based on what you place the handicap location.
No, so I believe because it is only online order pickup, it'll be pretty fast moving and a maximum of 6 stacking at a time, so there should be room for cars to get around if they need to use that bypass lane.
Okay. And then I did know when I was reviewing the architectural renderings, it looked like on the eastern elevation, I believe, it showed that there's an exterior roof ladder, so kind of it's the back of the building, if I'm not mistaken. With that, the back of the building, it's kind of good architecture around, but then the back of the building is kind of flat. Well, when you're going down North Avenue, that's going to be kind of right in your face. I don't know if there's anything where either you can internalize the ladder or consider some architectural elements to kind of soften that look as people are going westbound on North Avenue, because it is kind of a high-profile area.
Understood, and unfortunately, the architect could not be here tonight to speak about that, but I will certainly write that down and communicate your concerns to them.
So it'd be exterior elevation 4 on the screen we're seeing here. It just seems that, you know, where everything else has a lot more, just it's kind of, you know, service-based.
About like Starbucks.
Any other questions from the
Has
commissioners?
where you see from North Avenue, yeah, you see where.
I have one question. Is there going to be a monument sign on the corner, or is that the only signage is on the building?
There is a monument sign. It's not on the corner. It is more directly south of the building. It's
Okay.
within like a landscape
On
landscape
the site
island.
plan?
I don't know. Can I control this?
Is that new signage?
I believe it's new signage, correct?
Yes, it'll be new monument signage, and it's located within that landscape island. It has to be pushed back from the street a certain amount of feet, so that was the only location that it would fit. We didn't receive any images of the sign, but that will be reviewed at time of building permit when they need to submit those.
Okay.
Also, to point out back to Zachary's comments before, there is landscaping proposed on that side of the building that will help kind of break up that elevation, add a little bit more interest, and so it won't just be drab gray with ladder.
Any of the other questions from the planning commission? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I can make a motion to approve Chipotle 3790 East Main Street, Charlestown Mall, PUD, application for PUD preliminary plan, application for minor subdivision, final plat. Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Just to make sure that it's in, no staff had noted, you know, the recommendation for approval should be conditional upon resolution of outstanding staff comments.
Okay.
It's subject to signage and
We have a motion for item number 7 for application for PUD preliminary plan and minor subdivision final plat for Chipotle in the Charlestown Mall PUD, submitted by SC Outparcels 1 LLC, and that motion includes approval with staff comments. Okay, we have a roll call. Gina Lawson?
Yes.
Jeffrey Funk, yes. Zachary Ewalt?
Yes.
Dave Rosenberg?
Yes.
Gary Gruber?
yes.
Okay, that motion passes. That concludes item number 7.
Thank you.
Item number 8, Audi parking expansion. Item number 8 is an application for PUD preliminary plan for Audi parking expansion, Lot 17 of the Pine Ridge Park, submitted by Jason Dudkovich from CVG Architects.
Yes, the subject property is located within the Pine Ridge Park PUD off of Woodward Drive. It's the parcel just west of the Audi dealership. The dealership itself is not within the PUD, but this parcel is, and a parking lot is proposed for that parcel that's within the PUD, so that's why this PUD preliminary plan is required. They're utilizing a portion of the parcel for this parking lot, which will be used for vehicle storage for the dealership. The plan complies with all zoning requirements, landscaping requirements included, and the applicant is here to walk through the site plan.
Great.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Leeds. Jason Duckfish cannot be here today. He's in Missouri at another Plan Commission meeting. I'm familiar with the project and the client. So the parking lot is 64 spaces. As she had mentioned, it is directly west of the existing Audi dealership. There is direct access from the road that separates the dealership and the parking lot. There is no access onto Woodward. We have fully landscaped the perimeter, both on Woodward Drive. We've got the parkway trees. We've got the trees on the western side of our parking lot, fully landscaped islands, and the screening that is required around the electrical transformer and all along the swale that is between the parking lot and the access road. There is site lighting. It is minimally lit for security reasons only. We're using the exact same light fixture that we use on the parking lot of the Audi dealership, so there is continuity of site design. If there's any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the Plan Commission?
Just have one comment. The landscaping looks nice, so I think it'll, add to, make it not just look like a parking lot, so thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
I agree, because that area has become a lot busier with the routes out to Randall Road from, that people take from, a little shortcut from
Right.
Main Street to
Sure.
Randall Road with the light there.
Just from a lighting standpoint, because you're storing cars there, from a security standpoint, do they stay on a certain setting all night? Do they go into a dimmer mode? What does that structure look like?
They stay on at a constant illumination, but as you get to the property lines, it goes down to 0-foot candles. So there's very little, if any, spillage onto any adjacent lots.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the Planning Commission?
Straightforward.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Audi parking lot, parking expansion, Pine Ridge Park PUD Lot 17, application for PUD preliminary plan. Motion to approve.
Second?
Second. So we have a motion and a second for the approval for the Audi parking expansion, application for PUD preliminary plan for Audi parking expansion Lot 17 of the Pine Ridge Park, submitted by Jason Dudovich. Roll call. Gina Lawson?
Yes.
Jeffrey Funk, yes. Zachary Ewald?
Yes.
Dave Rosenberg?
Yes.
And Gary Gruber?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. Item number 9, the Oaks Lots 7 through 12. Item number 9 is an application for PUD preliminary plan for the Oaks Lots 7 through 12, Fox Glade PUD, submitted by Pilano Property Group, LLC.
So the subject property is lots 7 to 12 in the Oaks of St.Charles Townhome Development, which is located off Roosevelt Street near Route 31. Most of the rest of the Oaks development was constructed in the late 1970s, and this remaining piece of it has remained undeveloped ever since. So now the property has new owners, and they are proposing to finish out the development by constructing 6 townhome units. Originally planned for this lot was a single building with 6 units. Now they are proposing 2 buildings with 3 units each. But the overall layout and setbacks are very similar to what was initially approved. And I'll let the applicant go through that site plan. But there are a couple remaining staff comments, one related to landscaping, a couple outstanding engineering comments, so any recommendation for approval should be subject to resolution of staff comments. And I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Hello, my name is John Doherty, and I'm with JMD Properties. Hello, I'm Mark Polano. I'm with Polano Property Group. So thank you for having us tonight. We're hoping to finally put an end to the final development of finishing this after 40 or 50 years. So when we acquired this property, we were actually looking to acquire it pre-pandemic, and obviously the pandemic came, we stepped away from the project, and then obviously in the last year, brought it back and taken it to this point. We've had really good association and communication with the Oaks community, the people that are there. We wanted to make sure that we were part of the community and not this separate entity within the community. So we have their blessing. We've done some changes to actually the renderings to make them happy. Went through a couple different proposals with them. On top of so we are going to be doing 2 3-unit buildings. The reason for that was we wanted to break up. I don't know if you've been through the Oaks or not, but I don't even know if there is a 6-unit building that's in the community itself. But there's some 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit buildings. So we wanted to kind of blend it with it. On top of that, we also wanted to have 4 end units instead of having just 2 end units and making it a big cluster on that corner. On top of that, we are going to change, or I shouldn't say we are going to help in the change of the sign. Ellen had mentioned that we didn't have we're working with some different options to the sign, but we want to bring that in front of the board first in terms of the Oaks board, because they want to have some say in what it looks like before we actually present it to you guys. So we're actually internally doing that right now. Other than that, any questions that you guys have? Would be great.
And I might add, I did bring a couple of renderings. If you're familiar with that area, we stayed with a consistent style. I can like to see it.
What changes did you make after the feedback?
I'm sorry, for what that?
What were the changes that you made after the feedback from?
Color scheme. Color was the biggest one. The Oaks kind of have like definitely earth tone, brown tones to them.
Right.
We were actually, the first one we came into, we were more obviously like I don't want to say modern farmhouse, but like your whites, blacks, light grays, not in the earth tones. So we went back, I think, twice in terms of color, and then they accepted this color. You know, one thing, I think the subdivision itself, there's been a lot of communication with those units are turning over now. Mm-hmm. And with the turnover, people are saying, listen, we want to do some things differently. Like the garage doors is a big, they really want change on their garage doors. It's going to take time. When they saw ours, they're like, we want those, you know. So we try to modernize it, yet keep it to somewhat of a, collaboration for what they have.
So this isn't a question, but I do like the fact that you're doing the 4 end units versus the 2, because as you drive around both St. Charles and Geneva, and you see all of the middle units up for sale for a much longer time than you do those end units. So that's
awesome. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, I love the garage doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go out and get one.
And I also like the fact that you're going to change the sign, because that is very dated sign along Route 31 there.
What's left of it, and it's actually, I'm surprised. I'm almost amazed that that's the original sign. You know, but it's, I think it's been repaired many times. But they were very. In fact, there's a very, very, very large boulder on the property. And what we're looking to do, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Boulder Ridge up in Algonquin.
Sure.
They have a very large boulder stone, and then they have a monument that. Like it would be the Oak subdivision of St. Charles, mounted on that boulder to kind of give it a little bit more, not a big sign coming, but something more, subtle. Yeah. And then obviously well landscaped.
One question, how does the overall height, how does it compare to the other existing units? Are they going to be taller? Are they going to be right in line with the other ones?
I believe, that's a good question. I know we have 9-foot first floor ceiling, 8-foot second. I think we are going to be higher, but not dramatically higher. I want to say within 5 feet. I can obviously get back to the actual elevation. I mean, I have some estimates on it, but in terms of what's existing.
And then the association has seen that, and they're aware of that, and they're on board with that.
That came up with this question.
I mean, the overall outside design looks great, because even though it's older, it has almost that Tudor, like echoes of Tudor on the outside. So I think you guys did a great job with that.
We, on top of that too, obviously there's going to be a lot of tree removal. I don't know if you know the actual parcel, but it is extremely dense. I'm a tree person. lot of those trees that are there are just, I don't want to say the word junk trees, but they're just not savable, and they're not really worth saving. So we've gone through, in fact, we just had some re-comments that in terms of the infiltration in the back, we have to remove some additional ones, but we are going to make sure and make it a point that we heavily landscape, where it is. There's also some really large trees. If you go right between address 13 and address 7, right between the buildings, there's a massive oak tree that literally is, I don't know how it's still standing after all these years, but so that's going to be well needed to be taken down as well.
No, I appreciate the fact you guys broke up the buildings. I think it gives it a nice scale to, as opposed to having 6 altogether.
Yeah.
I think the design looks great. And the materials you're using with the stone on the base and the smart LP siding, I think it's a nice touch. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, I think the level of stone, front and side facades is great, and the amount of windows is also architecturally pleasing, so they look very nice.
Thank you.
They are for sale, so.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. We have a motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to recommend approval of the Oaks Lot 7 through 12 Fox Glad PUD, application for PUD preliminary plan, with approval of, all staff comments, so the rest of the staff.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval for the Oaks lots 7 through 12, for PUD preliminary plan for the Oaks lots 7 through 12, Fox Glade PUD, submitted by Polano Property Group LLC, including all staff comments to be addressed. Okay? So we have a motion. Roll call. Gina Lawson.
Yes.
Jeffrey Funk, yes. Zachary Ewell.
Yes.
Dave Rosenberg.
Yes.
And Gary Gruber.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you. Item number 10, general amendment.
I don't know if you have something to read or if you want me to dive in.
Well, yeah, I'll read it up. Item number 10 is a general amendment for the application filed by city staff regarding miscellaneous updates to the zoning ordinance, Title 17 of the city code. Item number 10A, a public hearing is required for this application.
Okay. Yes, so we have several city zoning text amendments that we're going to present. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible to not bore you all. But so we have there's 10, there's a range. I'll kind of walk through them all. If you have a question during any of them, please feel free to stop me. And then we'll I think we're looking for approval at the end for all of them. So the first one is an art studio definition, where we will be removing, we currently have an art gallery / studio, which doesn't really incorporate the type of uses that we're seeing move into St. Charles. So we wanted to create a new art studio definition, remove the gallery, and kind of expand the definition into more of the uses that we're seeing. So an establishment open to the public, used by an artist or craftsman who is engaged in the creation of art, which includes but is not limited to dance, music, painting, cooking, pottery, photography, and performing arts, and where uses may include the retail sale of the created goods, performance space, and instruction. This does not include adult entertainment establishments or the mass production or manufacturing of objects. This art studio would be allowed in the same areas that an art gallery / studio is. So basically all of our commercial districts, BL to CBD2, and the reason for this change, again, is because we are seeing different types of uses like the hunt house and the board and brush and the paint and brush that don't really fit under a use that we have right now. So we kind of have to classify it as a personal service, which is basically somebody providing a service to somebody else, but that's not really the best definition. So that's why we're creating this new one. And an art studio would require 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area for parking, which is in par with all of our other commercial spaces. So is there any questions on that one?
Would this negatively affect like board and brush or any of the existing establishments?
No, all of the existing establishments are in areas where they are permitted. So this is really just giving us a better way to include these type of establishments like downtown where they maybe aren't permitted necessarily, where typically like the Hunt House would have typically been classified as an instructional school, which isn't allowed downtown. But with this broader definition, we can kind of expand where those types of uses can be located. Any other questions on this one? Okay. So the second one would be adding an event venue use. Again, currently kind of our event venues fall under personal services, which is not the best definition for them to be under. So this establishes a use that can kind of better fit those types of venues. And we have defined it as an establishment which is rented by individuals or groups to accommodate private functions, including but not limited to banquets, weddings, anniversaries, showers, and other similar celebrations. Such a use may include kitchen facilities for the preparation or catering of food, the sale of food and beverages for on-premise consumption only during scheduled events and not open to the general public, and then outdoor gardens or reception facilities and entertainment such as live bands or DJs. We have included a use standard here for event venues located within the SSA 1A and SSA 1B, which is basically mostly downtown. And they shall not qualify for any parking exemption. There's currently a parking exemption for businesses in the downtown located within both of these areas where they don't have to provide off-street parking if they're within a certain distance to a public parking. So this would be a special use that would require documentation demonstrating that there is adequate parking to support the proposed use either off-site at one of the parking garages or lots or on-site. But it gives the City Council an extra layer because parking is such a big issue downtown to kind of review those things. The event venue would be permitted in our BCBR districts outright and a special use in our CBD1 and CBD2, which is downtown. An event venue would require 1 parking space for 2 guests based on the rated design capacity of the event area. And again, the reason for this change is that we've seen a rise in requests for event spaces, and we have been classifying them under personal services, and depending on how the facility is operated. But it does not clearly state event venues as a permitted use, nor does the parking requirement of 3 spaces per 1,000 square feet of floor area adequately represent the parking needs for this type of use. So the common ones that we've seen so far, the ones that have opened up recently, would be Cedar Fox wedding events and Eden wedding events. So any questions on this one?
Yeah, you know what, I forgot to read off for someone to go back and read this off, and then we obviously did the presentation. So staff, as the applicant, will make a presentation, then we will take questions from the commission and members of the public followed by comments from the public and anyone else wishing to provide testimony. When the Plan Commission feels it has gathered enough evidence to make a recommendation, we will close the public hearing. The Plan Commission will then discuss the evidence gathered relative to the findings of fact for general amendment and vote on a recommendation to the Planning and Development Committee. Before we begin, anyone who wishes to offer any testimony, including asking questions or providing comments for or against the application, shall be sworn in. Do we have any witnesses? Okay. We made the presentation. I will note that the official meeting packet posted to the city's website is part of the public hearing record. right. Do we have any questions from the planning commission?
Rachel, I just have one question, and for clarification, for the event venue for the, required off-street parking,
Mm-hmm.
I see it says 1 per 2 guests, on rated design capacity of the event areas, so essentially the room capacity that's listed like in this room.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
to confirm.
Yeah, based on what's rated for or potentially how many reasonably guests can fit in there.
Gotcha, which the building code does dictate.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, so the third one would be cafe. We would like to create a cafe use and remove the coffee and tea room use that is currently in our definition. The cafe provides a broader range of types of uses that we have seen wanting to move downtown as well. So we would define a cafe as an establishment which typically serves coffee, tea, or juices and offers a limited menu and related products for retail sale. The food menu may include fresh, prepared, or packaged food items, including but not limited to refreshments, baked goods, dessert items, sandwiches, and salads. Services provided at an ordering counter and limited seating may be provided. Outdoor dining is permitted as an accessory subject to the use standards. So I kind of listed out the different restaurant uses and outdoor dining uses in the packet, and how the cafe use would differ. And then the cafe use would be permitted outright in all of our commercial districts, BL through CBD2, whereas the coffee and tea room was only allowed in the BCBR and CBD1 as a permitted use, and then the BL and CBD2 as an accessory use. The cafe use would have the same parking requirement as the coffee and tea room, which is 5 spaces per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area. So this would cover types of uses like a sandwich shop, a bakery, a coffee shop, and those types of uses. Is there any questions on this one?
Just one, are there any requirements for bike parking for the cafes?
We don't. We don't have a biking parking requirement at all, like city-wide. It is something that we are encouraging people who are moving in, especially going through this process, to include. It's one of those things where it's kind of hard to require, and that if it's permitted, we don't have business licenses, so we don't know when businesses are moving into certain areas, so it would kind of be hard to enforce potentially, but it's something that we could add if the commission felt strongly about it.
I feel strongly about it just because our town is so walkable, and there's a lot of people when it's nice out on their bikes, or families with, kids on the trailers and things. I mean, I just think it'd be a natural fit just to at least maybe have some type of, not required, something in there, like as the business owners, as you're developing something new, as you add parking spots. I don't know, but just something to encourage more people to park their bikes down there versus their cars.
Yeah.
Would be a great thing.
The only issue I could see running into is for if it is right downtown, where there's buildings that are kind of lot line to lot line, and there's not really room for a bike parking. So I'll think about the correct wording that we would want to use there. Maybe not a requirement, but something along the lines of, where applicable, should be installed or something along those lines.
If it was a new building, it'd be a lot different.
Right. If it was a new building, or if it was a building not right downtown where, they do have their own off-street parking, where there's a little more room to put one, that totally makes sense. I just know, based on how our zoning is, the lot lines for downtown are pretty much non-existent, so that's where we might run into an issue. But I think where it's reasonable, people should put them in. So I'll, like I said, I'll think about the language on that, and we can include that. So the next one is carports, and this is just adding it to our list of permitted encroachments, and specifically clarifying that it is not a permitted encroachment in any of the yards. So detached garages are permitted encroachments into the exterior, interior, and rear yard, but we do not currently, as practice, allow for carports to be a permitted encroachment. So because it's not listed specifically in this table, we get a lot of questions about it. So this is trying to just kind of clarify that. And then we would also add it to our lot coverage definition in our building coverage. So if somebody did want to include a carport, it would count to those things, so it kind of basically limits the advantages of doing a carport versus a regular type of garage.
And this is detached and attached carports?
Yes. Yeah. So the only way that we would probably allow it is if it was kind of built into the roof of a detached garage, where they kind of share the same peak and it's architecturally designed that way, is where we have allowed them before, but not kind of a lean-to or anything like that.
Is the carport considered open on 3 sides, or does it matter?
So I don't know what our current definition is. I would have to look that up. I probably should have wrote that down. I believe it does say that it is open on 3 sides.
Okay.
I can double check that.
I mean, it makes sense, just from a regulation standpoint, but good question. Yeah.
Yeah, what is our definition? And I could probably find it, but that'll take time, and I know you guys probably want to move this along. So I'll confirm what our definition. We do have a definition in the zoning code, and I'll make sure that it matches what our intent is. So the next is a detached.
Rachel, do you want me to read it off?
Yeah, do you have it?
Yes, the current definition is an open-sided roofed structure designed to shelter one or more vehicles, usually formed by an extension of the roof from the side of a building.
Okay, so not open on 3 sides, but kind of just open-sided.
What you're saying, you're allowing the carport that's designed within the architecture of the existing building or the proposed building, is that correct?
That's typically how we've done it in practice, yeah.
Okay. So,
As kind of part of a garage.
yeah, that's allowed then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And would that be allowed in the rear yards and side yards?
It would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we've kind of classified that more as one garage, kind of detached garage structure, as opposed to just a carport. So if somebody wanted to kind of just put a roof structure in their back and call it a garage, it's obviously open-sided. It's not a garage, it's a carport. So we wouldn't allow that. But if I don't have an example, but roof, carport over here, but it's all built into the same, basically. I'm sure you've seen them before.
And it'd be complying with the setbacks for a garage.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Do we have any restrictions on, I mean, I've come across some of these carports that are like metal, like almost like pole barn structures. Is that prohibited?
Yes.
Okay.
They are prohibited if they do not meet the setback requirements. So if they're in the buildable lot area, we do permit them, but if they are if they're an encroachment into any of the yard, they're not permitted. And I know that there are lots of them in town, and our new code enforcement officer has been going around and finding them, but it'll be a process.
Right. Okay, great, thank you.
So next one is detached garages in through lots in the RT districts. So the city has roughly 47 through lot properties. Most of them are located within the RT districts. Many of these lots either have no garages or detached garages that do not meet the current zoning code. The code currently requires detached garages to be set back the distance of the rear yard, which is often 5 to 10 feet further than the front yard setback. And detached garages on other RT lots are permitted encroachments into the rear yard. They must be 3 feet from the rear, must be 5 to 3 feet from the rear lot line, depending if they're on an alley or not. The RT lots are typically smaller in size and depth compared to the RS and RE lots. So the change will allow for the through lot owners to maximize their yard, but it would still maintain the setback and street facade for houses with front yards adjacent to the yard through lot. So we're basically allowing detached garages in the RT districts to be permitted in rear yards of through lots, but they have to be set back the same distance as what a front yard would be. So if they backed up to a front yard, the houses would all be the same distance away from the street, but not have to be further away, which would further hinder somebody from being able to put a detached garage in their yard.
But the garages, the detached garages are allowed in the interior side yards, that's correct?
Correct.
And how close can they get to the property line?
In an interior side yard in the RT district, they can get 3 feet from the lot line.
3 feet from the line?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 feet from the rear lot line, unless it's an alley, and then it's 3 feet. So the next is a definition, clarification of a breezeway. City staff has received requests to install accordion-style doors onto a breezeway that basically kind of open up, but so it could be open but could be closed. The matter required an official interpretation that was challenged by the applicant at the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. So we would just like to clarify the language to maintain the intent of the original definition. So we are adding, the definition is a roofed, open-sided, unenclosed structure that connects the principal building with an accessory building. The sides of the breezeway, other than the adjoining walls of the principal and accessory buildings, shall be entirely open at all times without any temporary or permanent windows, doors, walls, screens, or other type of enclosure.
And is that open on, that's open on 2 sides, correct?
Yes. Yes. So other than the adjoining walls of the principal and accessory, it should be completely open on the other 2 sides.
That's so a breeze can go through?
Yes. Aptly named. So yeah, we're just trying to clean that up. We did have kind of an extended issue with this in the historic district, so we just wanted to further clarify the intent of the definition. The next one is compost piles or bins. So we are clarifying and setting standards in regards to what compost is and how it can be stored. Currently, compost piles are permitted encroachment into rear yards without any specific standards for what is considered compost and how the compost is to be stored or screened. So here we are just kind of defining what compost is and where they can be located. Any questions? That one.
I think this is a great addition. Appreciate you going through all these items. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Those are great.
Okay. Food trucks, we are adding more standards to this. So we're classifying it as food trucks that are open to the public shall not operate at any location without a permit. That provides the city the ability to kind of further monitor where they're operating and make sure that they are getting a mobile vendor license or permit from the county health department. So, we're making sure that they're up to their standards as well. We are adding that they can operate in the following circumstances and when a permit would be required. So at private events not open to the public, no permit shall be required. At events associated with a special event permit approved by the city, where the food truck is approved as part of the special event permit, in association with a temporary outdoor sales permit approved by the city, where the food truck is approved as part of the temporary outdoor sales permit. Operation of each individual food truck shall be limited to no more than 2 days in any 7-day period. And then adding that a restaurant, tavern / bar or microbrewery shall obtain a yearly permit for the operation of the food truck. So just providing more standards for the operation of food trucks, we can monitor them and make sure that they are basically up to health code. We know when they're operating.
Well, that's a good
So then we are on number 9. Which is off-street parking. So there are several lots within the city that do not meet the current setback or yard requirement for a yard and when they are resurfaced, they're required to either meet their setback or they can reduce the setback by 50%, but they need to landscape that area. But there are certain instances where there's really not enough room for that, what would be the required landscaping. So part of this provision would allow for the Director of Community Development to modify what would be required based on what would fit. So an example is, I don't know if you've been up here by the post office that's up the street here. You'll see that they redid their parking lot and they had to put in some landscaping. That's not technically up to code, but it was up to code enough that they could do it. So that's kind of an amendment that we allowed them to make. And so this is just codifying that type of situation where we kind of have to be a little more lax based on the existing conditions of the site. This is also making sure that the gravel lots that are in town that do not meet our zoning code, that they cannot create a new conformity, so they can't expand the gravel lots, but they would have to meet the requirements if they wanted to do that. Any questions on this one? Okay. Last one, this is just a change to our fee structure for permit submittal or application submittals for zoning submittals. With everything else, we've seen increased costs, so the cost of mailings and court reporters and things like that. So we are just looking to increase the fees for all of the applications to better provide an upfront estimate to the applicants, so we're not in the middle of the process requesting additional fees. That's all I have. Is there any questions?
Any questions?
No.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you going through that in great detail. And, do we have any questions from the members of the public? Okay. All right, if the Plan Commission feels they have enough information to make a recommendation to the Planning and Development Committee, a motion to close the public hearing would be in order. A motion?
Motion to approve the general amendment, miscellaneous update, Title 7.
No, we have a motion, we have to close the public hearing first. We have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. So, the motion has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? No? Okay, so we're going to do a roll call. Gina Lawson.
Yes.
Jeffrey Funk, yes. Zachary Ewell.
Yes.
Dave Rosenberg.
Yes.
And Gary Gruber.
Yes.
Okay, that motion is passed. Now the public hearing is now closed. Item 10B, discussion and recommendation. This is the opportunity for the Plan Commission to discuss the information that has been gathered in relation to the findings of fact for general amendment and to discuss our thoughts on a recommendation. Any more discussion on?
Just would say that this sounds like it's all needed and will help staff do their job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, very much so.
Any other comments? I appreciate the detail that was put into this, and I agree with the commission. So, do we have a motion on this application?
Motion to approve the general amendment, miscellaneous updates to Title 17 zoning.
Second.
And second, okay. So we have a motion to approve the general amendment, miscellaneous updates to the Title 17 zoning, and we have a motion and a second, and we'll do a roll call. Gina Lawson?
Yes.
Jeffrey Funk, yes. Zachary Ewell?
Yes.
David Rosenberg?
Yes.
And Gary Gruber?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. All right, item 11, public comment. Any public comment? No? Item number 12, additional business from the Planning Commission members or staff?
No additional business.
Okay, great. Item 13, the weekly development report. Has everybody reviewed their weekly development report? Great. And then item number 14, meeting announcements. Our next meeting is scheduled for August 6th, is that correct?
Sorry, August
Oh, that's
20th.
today, yeah.
Sorry, that was my mistake on the August 20th is the next meeting. I don't believe we'll be holding that meeting, but I will let you know.
Okay, thank you. Item 15, we have an adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The City of St. Charles Planning Commission has closed at 7:57 PM.